in sync and Kiana.com. Today we're talking about the ramifications of dead energy. And yeah, it's a pretty important topic. It impacts your physical body, it impacts relationships. Dead energy will be a part of every dysfunctional team I've ever worked with. They would be contending with the elements of dead energy. It's in organizations. Let's see, it's in relationships. It goes in your body. Let me think. Where else is dead energy? Dead energy can be pretty much anywhere where there is energy, and it will show up in a lack of circulation. So it's essentially a block. If you think of it like a water dam, a dam for, any dam, like for water, a river or whatever, and there's a dam and it just stops the water, that would create stagnation. But it also can create, in the energetic field, specifically in your body, it will create a redirection of your energy flow. So ways in which you might feel it with your body is tension, tightness. But for those of you who are interested in cold plunges, when you do a cold plunge, it will exemplify where you have dead energy blocked. And what happens when people are doing these cold plunges, and myself included, this happened to me, and it doesn't matter how physically active you are, you can have dead energy in your physical body. But what happens is you will feel pain. Because when you go into the cold plunge, what happens is the circulation is the blood flow is trying to go through, and it's not able to move it. So the dead energy must be released and move, and that's why there's so much pain with the cold plunges. That's my estimation. It is also what will clear dead energy in your emotional body, your spiritual body, and your mental body. So when people go into the cold plunge and their mind, can race, they can feel physical pain, they can have all kinds of dramatic responses when they go into cold exposure. But what happens is, if you do it frequently enough, the dead energy will be released and the circulation will be restored. So that's how dead energy kind of shows up in your physical body. But I want to say for sure that it doesn't mean that you're dead. What it means is that you would be lacking vitality. You would be lacking life force energy in places within your energetic systems, whether that is, your blood flow, or your ability to take in conscious breath, that type of thing. How dead energy shows up in your career. I mean, it can show up in anything, right? So your career will be a lack of vitality, so a lack of desire to do what you're doing. It will show up with low, almost like a depressed mood. And I know a lot of psychologists will say you're depressed, but really what that is dead energy. There's a lack of vitality happening there. A career will show up with dead energy, with a lot of dysfunctions occurring in not just one area, but multiple areas. So that's how it shows up with career. It's not really that you're not moving in your career. It's more that you are not in your joy, or in your, you just don't feel alive when you're doing what you're doing. That's how dead energy will show up. You'll feel like you've lost your zeal. And that could mean other things, but it also means that there's some dead energy present. how it shows up in relationships, I think is so fascinating. So you could be in relationships. It could be a friendship, a family member. It could be, a partnership, and there could be dead energy. And how would that show up? It's basically like the relationship is lacking. It's not resonance as much as there's just some aspects that are, they're not alive. Like there's no joy in the connection. There's no proactive reciprocation in communication. It's very emoji-ish. Like people might send emojis as a communication. That is an example of missing connections, right? So if you're one of those people that tends to send emojis for everything, that might be a signal to you that you're carrying some dead energy, because that's just simply a weakness in a willingness to communicate. It'll be missing activity. The relationship will be missing activity. So the communication will go one way and then there's no reciprocation. Or, and you might interpret that as they're not interested, but it really might not have anything to do with you. Or maybe it does. Maybe you have dead energy in that relationship and therefore they're just reflecting it. Maybe you both are carrying it. Maybe one person is carrying more of the density in the relationship than another. So dead energy isn't a bad thing. And I think this is where people struggle with understanding energy, because it's really non-judgmental. It is really not about saying it's good or bad. It's more assessing whether it's feels good, if it's moving in the right direction, and the right direction being the direction that you would like to progress to. And if it's not, do you want to continue to invest in it? I think the most important thing about dead energy is that it lacks circulation. And when you have and are holding on to areas within your physical body that lack circulation, you must have an understanding that that goes to your emotional body and your mental body. And what you want to have is, like, to have a lot of vitality, you want to have circulation going through all of your energy centers. And it's difficult for that to happen when you have dead energy in your body. Now, so how do you fix that? There are so many different ways that you can address dead energy. But one of the ways that I have found to be the most easily accessible, besides working with somebody like me who I release these things when I'm in session with clients, but one of the things that you could do on your own, it is important to get out of your comfort zone. Cold exposure is the fastest way that I have seen to physically and energetically shift dead energy quickly. But it's very uncomfortable. And most people don't want to be that uncomfortable. So I understand. I used to hate to be cold, and now I love it. I never in a million years thought I would like doing cold plunge. In fact, when we got the cold exposure, we got it because my husband, primarily we wanted to experiment it for reducing inflammation and asthma. And that was the primary focus, but then I ended up loving it. And now I've got it down to 40 degrees and it still hurts, but I'm able to transcend the pain and it feels amazing. I love it. Okay, so we have a couple people here. So I'm wondering if you have any questions. My uncle just, let's see, my uncle's like. Okay, I got some bots here. Hi. Wendy, you have any questions about dead energy? Or anything, actually. What questions do you have? I'm open for questions. No questions on dead energy. Okay, so let me just look at my notes and what. I want to talk about career and stagnation, because a lot of people, when they have stagnation or dead energy in relationship to their career and or finances, it's coming from a place of limitation and perception, okay, which would also be not favorable. But there is usually an aspect where people are blaming their situation on their boss or the organization, or they're not forward thinking. Everybody else is not evolved, but you are. And what I would suggest is that how you start to look at yourself and getting more uncomfortable in your career, that would get you more engaged. So people who are carrying a lot of dead energy, they always want to check out. So what you want to do is figure out a way that you could check back in. And that's going to be like asking questions, having difficult conversations, addressing conflict. Those are the things that move dead energy. When I am working with dysfunctional teams and they have a lot of density or dead energy, there's always going to be blocks in communication. So the first thing I do is I address those blocks. So that's a great way that you can start to address your career, is where are there blocks in communication, and start opening those up with questions, having open-ended questions, having open conversations with people who can help move the circulation for you in your career. And that might be finding a mentor, it might be having a conversation with your boss, it might be exploring another aspect of your job that you haven't quite delved into. There's several different ways in which you can do that. Okay, Wendy, you are asking, is there another option other than cold plunge to move physical energy that is dead? There is, but I'm telling you it's going to hurt. So you can do, one of the things that you could do, which is really fun and very popular, and there's lots of data supporting it, that opens up circulation, is the bounce. The bouncer, those trampoline-like bouncies, that will help with circulation and moving dead energy. So you will know how sore you are, will determine the magnitude of dead energy that you will have conscious awareness of. Just know that that's not going to necessarily move you mentally in the dead energy or in the emotional dead energy. And the reason why is because it's not immersive enough from my experience. The one thing about the cold plunge, it's this full immersion, and that's why you get such drastic reactions and responses so quickly. Now, I'm not a proponent of the cold plunge. I just happen to like it because I see the benefits are far outweigh the discomfort, in my opinion. However, if you do the bouncer, that will increase circulation. So you want to do things that increase the circulation of your physical body, and that directly impacts your emotions and your mental capacities. So I hope that helps you. The dead hang. The dead hang on its own does not address dead energy. The dead hang, one brought into unification with the conscious breath and the intention into the heart space, can release dead energy in the area specifically around your nervous system. It will unhook those aspects that are totally locked into anxiety, for example. However, the dead hang, I have found most people have such a disdain for it, more so than the cold plunge, that they don't want to do it. And a lot of people that are doing dead hangs are just actually focused on the physical activity of it. When you're moving dead energy, you must be in connection to your awareness, right? And intention, because it's not going to move just because you're doing something. I hope that helps. I must admit, like I'm not a massive fan of the dead hang. I think it's really good. I wish I were better at it. I think if I were better at it, I would do it more often. But again, it's not going to address dead energy specifically on its own. The cold plunge will, and so will. I'm trying to think what other physical activities or another physical. Oh. The other thing that you can do to move dead energy is the conscious breath in meditation. Oh, in fact, that would probably be the easiest way to do it. However, it's not going to be just any conscious breath. It would be a specific kind of conscious breath. And the one that's coming to mind right now is the one that I teach most often. And this is the breath that is very helpful for when you have high stress, but it's also going to be helpful to bring more circulation. So that's the 2 breaths in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. So it'll go like, and then, as you go on in duration, your flow will change, but it's important to keep the 2 breaths in and the exhale out. How long would you need to do that? Like, you're probably not going to like my answer, but I'm going to say at least 20 minutes every day for a period of, it just really depends how much dead energy you have, but you will feel a difference after 7 days. In how your body is feeling. Now, 20 minutes is a long time to do conscious breathing and to do breathing in through the nose twice and out through the mouth. It can be very challenging and your mind will want to wander off. So, maybe do 2 sets of 10 or 4 sets of 5, and you can break it up because you don't have to do the conscious breathing all at once. In fact, I think the 4 sets of 5 would be really good. The importance here is that it's consistent and it's intentional and remembering that it's all about bringing life force into your life more. So how can you feel more vitality in everything that you're doing instead of being so tired or exhausted? And, there's a lot of things that are exhausting in our world, so I get it. So this is a way to disconnect and reconnect within. If you are aware of dead energy, how do you overcome it? Well, your awareness is a good tool, but dead energy needs circulation. And so you have to address, first of all, where are you feeling that you have dead energy? And most people who don't do energy work on a regular basis have dead energy. And it doesn't mean that you're bad. It just means that you need to bring more conscious awareness throughout your body, throughout your life. That's all it means. So it's not a bad thing. It's an awareness. So I would say, how do you overcome it? You overcome it with expanding in consciousness. You overcome it with addressing the areas that are not circulating before they become problematic. So let's just take this to the next level. If you have a lot of dead energy, you're going to, within your physical body, we're talking about, let's just talk about the physical body. You have dead energy in your physical body. That would mean that there's something not circulating, and that might show up with high inflammatory. It might show up with high cholesterol. These are all things that doctors talk about that are giving language to what they call blocked energy. But what we know about energy is that it just redirects. What you want is everything to be circulating and moving in a flow. And when it's inhibited and not receiving life force, then that's problematic. And when your body has those within the systems, then you get sick. That's ultimately what happens. That's why heavy metal testing is so incredibly important in my assessment, because heavy metals, they slow the function of all your body systems. They change how your body actually signals to resonate with energies that you may be attracted to. It's beyond the mind. So most people think, oh, I don't have heavy metals, and they haven't even done a hair analysis. Don't rely on what your doctors are telling you to go get tested. You have to take and advocate for your own health and wellness. And if you have any heavy metals in your body, and all of us have them, because if you breathe the air, they're in the air. Toxins are in the air, they're in the food, they're in the pans that you cook with, like it's everywhere. So if you're not doing anything to cleanse those aspects, then it's going to create stagnation in how your body is operating. And the stagnation could show up as dead energy. Okay, I'm just looking at the questions here. I hope that answered that question. Sorry, I'm just reading this. Okay, so Lewis, if this is who I think it is, that organization is filled with it. So I will give you an example. When you go into a facility and it has mold, mildew, those are funguses that feed off of dead energy. Also, Candida is one way in which our bodies show dead energy as well. That's very common. There's one other thing I was going to say about dead energy. So having awareness that you work within or have relationships that have dead energy, your awareness is number one, right? That is how you begin to shift your perceptions about what you are being exposed to. That's number one. Number two is making a conscious choice to interact with those energies differently. So, for example, if you have somebody on your team who is not very good at communicating, meaning the communication is not reciprocal. It goes one way and it doesn't come back the other way. That would be an example of dead energy being present in a relationship. If you want to change that, you then would bring in the energy of vitality by opening the relationship with communication, by asking a question, by causing engagement, by bringing circulation through that relationship. Now, if the person doesn't want to do that, and this is where dysfunction happens in teams, if a person does not want to engage with you for whatever reason, let's just say they don't like you. Like, I've had people that don't like me. Shocking. Don't take it personal, because it's not about you. People who are holding a lot of dead energy, they don't like a lot of things. That's what causes them to hold such density. The other thing I would say is changing your perception about those people. So let's just say you don't need to know what's going on with those people who are carrying the dead energy, because the fact that you have awareness that this is a dead relation, there's dead energy in the relationship. I'm not saying that the relationship is dead. There's dead energy in the relationship. Just because they might be carrying the vast majority of it, what I will say is that if you can hold compassion for them in your interactions with them, that will shift the relationship cord or line. In energy, relationships always have a cord or a tether or a line with it. So you can actually clear the cord by holding compassion. That's why kindness, compassion, love is such a huge frequency to embody. It's not about thinking, oh, I love this person. It's about embodying the energy within you and shifting the vitality of that relationship. Now, if the person doesn't want to engage with you, they don't want to engage. It's nothing personal. And that's what I would say. That's where the ego mind can come in and make it really a personal situation when it's not. It's really just a reflection. And there might be other learnings from the person besides there being dead energy. There might be another area of resonance, like rejection or abandonment. That might be where you resonate with somebody who's holding dead energy, a lot of dead energy, because you haven't quite maybe worked. I'm just throwing this out as something to consider, that if you haven't processed through rejection or limitation or abandonment issues, or even anger issues, although anger has a lot of circulation for the most part and is a very good tool if you know how to leverage it. Maybe I'll do a video on that. It can change. It can change everything when you have an awareness that you're processing based on what you're resonating with them. I mean, I've told this story before. I think it's probably one of the most powerful stories I have that has to do with narcissists. But until I worked through all of my issues with narcissists, I literally got a group of narcissists that came to me as clients. And I got to work through all of my narcissistic weaknesses that would cause me to attract a group like that. That doesn't mean that I'm a narcissist. It means that I had a resonance with people who were narcissistic. That means that they were showing up in my clientele. They were showing up in my anywhere I would go out to dinner with people, or they were everywhere. Okay, narcissists are not bad people. They're just not good people to be in relationships when you want to have open discussions. So you can imagine how much I trigger the hell out of them. Okay. All right, let's see. No, I do not believe that we attract. This is a great question. Amazing question, actually. I had to end my notes to talk about, so thank you very much. Here's a question. Do I believe that we attract dead energy? Absolutely not. Dead energy doesn't have a resonance like a vitality has a resonance. But you may be resonating with something else, like personal suffering, like self-hate, or abandonment, or rejection, or I could go on and on about different things that you could resonate with, but you're not going to resonate with dead energy. In fact, dead energy is just going to be an indication that there's something that needs more circulation. That's an excellent question. I hope that answered you. Resonance is always going to have a harmonic, and maybe obviously more than one harmonic. So for example, like your family, you don't choose a lot of things that happen within your family, but there's a resonance there that comes from soul lessons. And when you have processed your lessons, you won't resonate with people the same way. That's why I think it's so important for people to have awareness and learn their lessons. If you are somebody who struggles processing things, then you have a lot of lessons to learn. Avoidance is not a lesson. Avoidance is not the lesson. It's the indicator that you need to learn a lesson that you don't want to see. So being in denial is a harmonic. So you might resonate with other people who are also in denial. I don't know. It's a very interesting topic. Anyways, if there's no other questions, I'm trying to think of what else would be interesting about dead energy that I could share. I think that the most important thing is that it can be shifted with circulation. And circulation comes from consciousness. It comes from conscious awareness. It comes from conscious breath. It comes from doing things that are uncomfortable, that shift your perception. And, if you really need to shift your awareness in something, you could go skydiving, and that will open you up. The problem with big risks like skydiving and big issues when you do that is that if you don't leverage all the learning, then you can't integrate it into all your aspects of your life. So when you are processing, this is a good thing about dead energy. People who have PTSD will have a lot of dead energy. Traumas, PTSD, fears, that will heavy load dead energy. Okay, here's the question. What is, I don't know. There's no question there. I don't understand your question. Okay. So the main lesson here is if you see, sense, or feel dead energy, address it. Oh, I will say one other thing. So I'm going to just talk personally real quick about dead energy. So when we have tension in our shoulders, it's usually because we have constriction, right? So one of the things to bring circulation is massage, right? That's when you're touching your shoulders or whatever, and you're like, oh, I've got tension. But it should hurt, right? Like you want to dig your fingers in to create the separation between, that's one of the things I'm doing right now on myself, is right here on my neck. There's a muscle and I pull it. You could try this at home. I don't have dead energy in my neck by any means, but I do have tension. And so just doing the conscious, I shouldn't be doing this publicly, but I'm doing it anyways. There's a muscle that goes right here, and if you have tension, it will be tight. And when I first started doing this, my eyes watered, but I pull this and I try to get my fingers in between the muscles so I can create circulation within my neck, and it's completely changed how my jaws feel, and this tension right here. So just something personal to be more aware of, like where you hold tension in your body. And hey, if you haven't tried the cold plunge, if you haven't tried cold therapy, now I know a lot of people do cryo. I don't know anything. I can't speak to cryo, and I can't really speak to the benefits of that. You know, I don't think all cold exposure is equal. I think there's something about being immersed in water, and water gives off negative ions. If you could go look that up. And that in and of itself is a calming energy for you. So, all right, I've gone on long enough. I hope you all found that this was helpful and inspiring to you. And if you have any other topics that you want me to talk about, please let me know. I hope you have a great Friday, and I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate you. Bye.